Hi, I'm Chris, and welcome to How Do You Like Your Coffee? In light of Halloween and re- the new season of Walking Dead come out, not season number 9 of The Walking Dead coming out, I thought I'd talk a little bit about zombies. Now, there are people out there. This is pop culture. It has become very popular ever since 1968 with George Romero's release of Night of the Living Dead. Okay, since then we've seen plenty of movies, plenty of shows, plenty of different takes on what zombies would be like. We have different names for them even. In The Walking Dead, we call them walkers or ghouls or what was the other word? I don't remember what the other word was, but I thought it was a pretty cool word. But anyways, so it's a very popular thing. It's a fascination actually, and that's what brings me right here. And I was searching on the internet and trying to research this, and there are a lot of people who believe that, it's a possibility. Of course, keep your mind open. You never know, But let's look at the show The Walking Dead itself. Right now, that's probably one of the most popular, probably most recent things that I've seen anyway. There's other ones like World War Z and stuff like that. So, but I'm going to take more of a closer look at The Walking Dead. To tell you the truth, I've really never really been into the zombie thing. I've never really liked zombies so much. I don't know if they scared me or if I just thought they were gross. I don't know. But I mostly only watch The Walking Dead when it comes to zombies. Anything zombie. Okay. But the question is a zombie apocalypse possible? Now, season 1 of The Walking Dead, the group, Rick and the others, have met up with the CDC. They had gone into a CDC building. And there they met Dr. Edwin Jenner. And in episode 6, he explains the transitional phase is of going from sickness to death to resurrection. Now, in the video, he explains that he explains how the brain is working. He explains what everything is in the brain. I'm going to actually leave a link in the description of that exact part of that show so that you can see what I'm talking about. But the one thing he did say is that the brain stem is the only surviving part of the part of the brain that comes back when the dead is resurrected. The issue I have with that and saying, well, if it's in that case, then no, I don't think a zombie apocalypse is possible, because there's more to it than that. And here's why. My drawing of a brain. It's supposed to be a brain. I know it doesn't look much like a brain, but it's a brain. It's how I draw the brain. It's not a very good picture of it, but yeah. Anyway, first let me show you some of the parts of the brain. I'm going to start with the frontal lobe. That's our personality, our learning, our problem solving. It's who we are. It's what makes us who we are. We're individual from the next guy, the next girl, or whatever. The parietal lobe, it receives messages from it's your 5 senses. It tells us when it tells our body when we touch something it's hot. It tells our nose what we're smelling, tells our eyes what we're seeing, ears what we're hearing, things like that. The occipital lobe is receiving message from our eyes. It makes out the shapes, it makes out the colors, things like that. Messages from the ears is the temporal lobe. Okay, that's what we're hearing. We recognize speech, we recognize who's talking to us, things like that, sounds that we're hearing. And this is how we know one music from another music or whatever. Anyway, this is the stem. This is the part that Edwin Jenner had explained is the only part that survives. This goes up a little bit into there, but it's in the middle of the brain. This is from the outside of it. The stem controls the heart and lungs, and it also is what actually keeps us alive. And actually, the link that I got this model from says that it's probably the most important part of the brain. It's serious to injure this part of the brain. Now, I put this little section here. This is the thalamus. And the thalamus, although it does other things, I thought it was important to say that it is what tells us when we are hungry, when we are thirsty. Now, within this is also the something nucleus, clavius, something like that. Anyway, it controls our dopamine, which is what it's that tells us when our craving is satisfied. I wanted chocolate, I got the chocolate, now I'm satisfied. That's your dopamine. Serotonin is what tells us what our cravings are. That's somewhere located within temporal, somewhere in that area. Remember, the brain is a lot more complicated than just blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I was thinking, if the stem is all that survives, although in the model that he is using, it's a live model of the person that they were experimenting on, that later you find out it was his wife. It does show a few little electrons, or whatever you want to call those, going into other sections of the brain. But it wasn't going that far into the brain. That's what tells me that in that respect, in that aspect, it would not be possible for a zombie apocalypse. Not in that aspect of it. Not looking at it like this. Because now here's a few things that I question is if they're not breathing, they're smelling. You have to inhale to smell. Messages aren't reaching that temporal lobe, how are they hearing? If messages aren't reaching the occipital lobe, how are they seeing? And the cerebellum, which I forgot to mention, the cerebellum, one of the things that's most important to them is probably their ability to stand up and walk. And that's what the cerebellum does, is it gives us our sense of balance so that we can walk, we can run, we can sit down. It tells us when we're sitting down and when we're standing. So like I said, I'm going to leave the link to this site that I used for this. In looking at that, I don't think it's possible. But, it's all a matter of perspective and how we look at it. And maybe if you look at it a different way, maybe zombie apocalypse could happen somewhat like in I Am Legend, where they're not actually dead, but they're in a state of what seems to be zombified state. They are not thinking straight, and but they still are intelligent, but however, they are dangerous. So, looking at it that way, maybe more realistically than this, but let's use our imaginations. We still do love zombies. Well, I don't like zombies personally, but, it's a fascination with a lot of people. But also, another thing about zombies is when people come up with these things, and I wish the show would touch more on what Edwin Jenner had found. I wish I would run into somebody else who knows a little bit more about it, because maybe we can learn a little bit. There are stories that when I was looking on here, I'm going to leave a link in the description. Maybe you can check it out yourself. It was called a CO plan, or something like con plan, that the government had done back in 2011 was actually training for a zombie apocalypse, but it wasn't exactly, meant for zombies, but that's what it was themed around. I also can tell you that, and I started to take this class. It's more of an ethics than anything, but training. It was preparedness for a zombie apocalypse. So zombies have become such a fascination that now it's included in training. It's included in your schools. It's included in things like that. And whether it's a possibility or not, I think the training and stuff could make us prepared for a lot of things. But, in thinking of these things, then there's people out there. Yeah, I think it's possible. But like I said, I don't. I want to know what you think. And this is a dumb video. I gotta start it all over again because it's stupid. If you made it through that, I applaud you. Let me explain a little bit. I got through the whole entire video and realized, or at least what I thought I realized, was a huge mess up. But I decided to keep it because as I was reviewing it and I got to the ending part, I had myself a good laugh. And I'm hoping I can share that laugh with you. And until next time, keep that coffee hot. Oh, wait. Let's not make the same mistake again. All the links to that video are in the description below. All the links that I use to research and things like that are in the description below. And also in the description below, you will find a link to my Patreon page. You can visit me there for a couple of extra perks and everything. And in the meantime, you can click the subscribe button. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And ring the bell icon button so you will get notified in my next upload. Until my next big mess up video, please keep the coffee hot and your pinkies up. See you next time.